Hey everybody, what is up? My name is Ryan, and today we're going to be going through another Trick Room technique that has been discovered in Sword and Shield. Now, I am quite a few weeks, maybe even a month late on this one. However, I do want to preface this that I think I am probably the only one here who fully believes in this strategy and thinks that it is the number one best way to get Trick Room up. Some people will give you some cons for it. I don't think there's any cons for this at all whatsoever, and I'll get into that. But basically, I am clickbaiting you with the title and the thumbnail, but I want you to know that I am fully behind what I'm saying, and I'm going to fully explain what I'm saying and why I think that. So let's get straight into it. Our Trick Room setter for today is technically Riolu. How does that work? Well, we'll get into that in a second. I just want to give you the breakdown of the set so you have that in your mind as we go through the explanation. So Riolu is a fighting type, it's not fully evolved. The stats do not matter. It has really bad stats. It has actually base 60 speed, so there might be something to work with that if you want to consider that. But we're going to be running 252 HP, 4 attack, 252 speed. The nature is going to be Jolly, ability is going to be Prankster, item is going to be Mental Herb, the moveset is going to be Copycat, Quick Guard, Helping Hand, and then for the third slot, there's a few different options here. So you can use Feint to break through Protects. Just remember that Feint doesn't go through Max Guard, so it does attack through Max Guard, but it doesn't break Max Guard. Otherwise, it will break other Protects, which is actually a pretty good, solid use of Riolu. It's a nice ability because it's priority, so you can use it to break sashes. Like if you're up against, say, an Excadrill and you don't know if it's sash, you can feint the first turn, break the sash, and then attack with your other Pokemon on the field. Final Gambit is there if you just want to get rid of Riolu. It's kind of like a U-turn sort of thing. You just do some damage and get out of there. You do lose the Riolu, of course. And then the third option here is question marked out because technically Riolu doesn't get this move, and the move is Follow Me. However, I'm expecting that with Home to be released, Riolu will get Follow Me, and I think that's going to be the best choice here in general. The reason it doesn't have it now is because the only way to get Follow Me onto Riolu is through a breeding pair in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. However, theoretically speaking, if Home comes out and you transfer over Riolu with Follow Me, you should be able to get that Follow Me onto the Riolu in the new game. So that's just something to keep in mind. I don't know if it's going to be 100% or not, but I do think Follow Me is probably the best slot for there if it ends up getting it. So, what is the strategy? Now, I'm sure some of you have seen the strategy beyond. I'm just going to go into it really quickly. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to Dynamax your Trick Room setter. And my suggestion here is you want to pair this with a offensive Trick Room setter that can make use of the Dynamax. So we're talking about Hatterene, Reuniclus, Chandelure, maybe Trevenant. I can't even think of others specifically offensive Trick Room setters, but that is some. Indeedee. Indeedee is actually a pretty good option here. So when they Dynamax, you're going to go for Trick Room while Dynamax, which is going to turn into Max Guard, and then you're going to have Riolu use Prankster Copycat, which copies the base move of the Max Guard, which is Trick Room. So you get a priority Trick Room. Now, it's not, one of those things where you can take advantage of it immediately. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately, because you are protecting with your setter slash sweeper in this case. But basically, this is what the strategy is. You're getting a priority Trick Room, +1 Trick Room, and it just gets set, and it's amazing. There are a few cons to this, so I'm going to go through the cons before I go through the pros, so you can understand where I'm coming from. So, the first con for this is that the main strategy requires one Dynamax turn. A lot of people are going to say that's too much to invest. Personally, I think it's actually not too bad. I've been running this quite often, and I never miss that one turn. See, the thing about Dynamax this game is that if you're Dynamaxing someone that's not like, say, a Rhyperior, it doesn't matter if you're missing out on one turn. You're still going to get two full turns of damage, and then on top of that, what's good about this is it guarantees Trick Room, and sometimes having Trick Room up is way more important than having one turn of Dynamax. So basically, you're giving up Dynamax in order to get Trick Room up. That's great. There are two counters to this strategy. One is the typical, oh, they bring like a single Pokemon that can sit Trick Room, and you have Trick Room. So it's a 50-50 if they're going to set Trick Room or not. So that's not that's one of those things. There's nothing you can do about that as a Trick Room player. You just have to guess correctly. You have to base it around their team. There's no way to counter that. It's a 50-50 whether they do it or not, and you just have to decide you just have to give it a risk analysis, you know? The biggest counter to this, however, and this is like a unique counter, is that priority counters Copycat. So let's say they start off with Whimsicott, which is a really, really popular Pokemon. Let's just say it's a Whimsicott Charizard lead, so they think, okay, well, I can probably break through the Hatterene and Riolu, because what the hell's a Riolu going to do with a Sunny Day Heat Wave, right? So they go for priority Heat Wave, you go for the Max Guard. So the turn order is Max Guard, Sunny Day, Copycat. And Copycat is not a targeted move, so you can't target your Hatterene and copy the Trick Room. You target Riolu and you copy whatever the last used move is. So priority breaks that because unfortunately Riolu is pretty slow with only a base 60 speed. So if someone uses priority, specifically in this case Whimsicott, you're not going to get that Trick Room off. So that is the biggest counter. However, we'll talk about this, but I don't think that's really that big of a deal. So the pros. First of all, it beats Imprison. There is a single Trick Room setter in this game that can Trick Room Imprison with priority, and that is Meowstic. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, technically speaking, Meowstic does not get Prankster yet. So that we don't know when that's going to happen. That's probably going to happen when Home comes out. So as of this video, there is no way to Prankster Imprison. However, if you do encounter a Meowstic specifically against this strategy, you're probably not going to be able to set Trick Room up against it. That's probably the most direct counter to this strategy is Prankster Meowstic, sorry. It beats spread moves because, again, it's priority, so there's no priority spread moves. So you protect the Hatterene, takes no damage. Riolu takes whatever damage, but it doesn't matter, Trick Room's already up. It beats anti-Follow Me because you're not using Follow Me and you're protecting. So if, like, they say they start off with Duraludon, they might just go into your Hatterene anyway, but you just protect it, so it's totally okay. Again, a pro is actually... Not again, I didn't say this yet. A pro is actually that it's frail. Riolu, like I said in the next point, is Riolu can still support with Helping Hand, Quick Guard, Follow Me if it eventually gets it. Copycat is actually not too bad of an idea because it also can break sashes like Feint can, because it is priority. It's just not as reliable. But it's frail, and the reason it's that is good. Oh my god, that was awful. Someone used Encore on me. The reason that is not awful is because while it is support, if Riolu dies the first turn, you can immediately bring in, say, like a Rhyperior or something, and just go ham. And that's a huge upswing in just potential, right? So let's just talk about the counters to it. Like I said, Trick Room is a 50-50. Prankster Meowstic, whenever it comes out, is going to be probably the biggest counter to this. The only counter, in my opinion, because it does get that Prankster Imprison. But the priority does not worry this setup, because here's the thing. If they're starting off with a Pokemon that can use priority and are going to specifically use it to screw over your Copycat, they are wasting one of their Pokemon in order to stop your technique, and all you have to do is just not go for the technique. Say they start a Whimsicott. Whimsicott's obviously going to go for a Prankster move. That's what Whimsicott does. So what you do, you just go for Quick Guard on Riolu, or Feint, or Copycat if you think that like maybe you want to copy the taunt. I guess I don't know. Maybe I don't know. That one's probably not great of an idea. But you go for an attack, you go for whatever, and then you just go for Trick Room normally. I run my Hatterene with Focus Sash, so for this specific scenario where, say they start off with a Whimsicott and Duraludon, I know Babiri Berry can survive some Duraludon, but it cannot survive all Duraludon sets, so I would rather just 100% guarantee that I will survive no matter what. And that's it. That's how you beat that. It's super simple. Now, okay, so what if they go for Trick Room when you go for Trick Room? So the 50-50 Trick Room, they just canceled out your Trick Room. There's not too much you can do about this. Theoretically speaking, if they are not a Prankster user, so this won't work against like Whimsicott, who's most definitely going to go for a Prankster ability the next turn, or maybe they'll go for Moonblast. Who the hell knows? The idea here is that, let's just say for example's sake, you're up against a Jellicent, right? Jellicent goes for Trick Room, you go for Trick Room. What this means is that next turn, all you have to do is just go for Copycat. And Copycat's priority, so Copycat will pick up Trick Room, which was just used, unless someone goes for Protect. Again, you know, it's kind of like these 50-50s. There's not really much you can do. You just have to predict and predict well. You go for Copycat. Hopefully you snag the Trick Room from the last turn, because it does copy over from the last turn. And you go for Trick Room. And now it's immediate. That is splendid. So, truthfully speaking, a lot of people, I think, are sleeping on this combo because they think, well, you could just go for Ally Switch and it's going to break the combo. And here I'm saying, it's like, well, go for Ally Switch. You just wasted an entire Pokemon turn, because I'm just going to go for Trick Room, you know? I'm not going to Dynamax, and now I have my Dynamax and all that. And I think this is just the greatest strategy that has ever come out. It really sucks that this strategy is not going to be able to stick around if and when Dynamax does get removed. But I think for now it's really good. The good news is that it's just slightly better than Indeedee. So if this ever gets removed, we still have Indeedee, and I love that. But it's so much fun to style on people with Riolu, because even if they know what's coming, it's kind of one of those strategies where it's very obvious and people are like, okay, well, I'm just going to counter it. And then they counter it, and then you're just like, well, I don't really care that you just countered it, because I knew that the counter was coming. I think this is one of those strategies that, with high-level play, is going to be really, really, really difficult to break. Indeedee and Hatterene have a slew of counters, but they're still really good. This one has 2 counters. One hard counter in Meowstic, male, and the rest are just soft counters that good prediction will win you the game. And I love that. And I think that this is going to be a very rewarding strategy. I don't know how many battles I've done, but I use this to carry myself from Great Ball to Master Ball, which is obviously not a huge accomplishment because it's pretty easy to get Master Ball with all the lack of decay and stuff like that. But it's one of those strategies that is very strong, and if you're good at looking at a team and understanding how it's going to work, you're going to have a really, really good time getting Trick Room up. And plus, you know, honestly, like, there's a huge, 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 huge upswing in momentum if Riolu goes down the first turn. Absolutely massive. I ran this set with Eviolite, and surprisingly, you actually survive quite a few attacks that you never would expect, like a Chandelure Heatwave. I forget what else. There was like an Earthquake, like an Excadrill Earthquake. It's actually pretty surprising how much you survive. But I found more often than not, even though I like the helping hand, And that when this thing does get Follow Me is going to be very good. I found more often than not that I won more games when when Riolu went down the first turn, because that allows me to not only have Hatterene on the field, but say like Riolu goes down, Trick Room's up though, I just bring in Torkoal and I just win. There's just no way for them to stop it, and that's the strongest aspect about this. I know a lot of people like Bronzong and Butterfree, but in my opinion, that loses quite a lot of momentum because you have to switch out the Butterfree after turn 1. This, you don't lose momentum. You either stay in and Helping Hand Psychic, or Max Mindstorm, or Max Starfall, or Max Overgrowth, or Max Flare, depending on what your third move is really strong. And if Riolu goes down, then you just bring in another Pokemon, you know? So yeah, like I said, this is an extraordinarily powerful combination that I think too many people are sleeping on, and I hope they can continue sleeping on it, because I want to be the only one that uses Riolu, okay? But I am making this video because I do love it, absolutely, and I hope more strategies like this come out. This has been a very unique, what's the right word? It's been a very unique metagame so far, generation, because there's been a lot of new strategies popping out that people, I guess, like, you know, like you could have always used Butterfree in the past, but no one did, and now they are, because we have such a unique meta that kind of warrants these things. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. This is obviously shorter than the other videos that I've done because, well, there's really not much to talk about. This really is one of the most impenetrable Trick Room setups possible, and the only way to break through it is with a Pokemon that doesn't exist yet, and that's amazing. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to catch you guys in the next video. Peace.